What's up, guys? Welcome to the No Tomatoes podcast. I'm Elijah, and this is my brother Titus. I'm going to be your host today. Usually, I will be your host, or he will be your host.
Yes, ma'am.
And that will be what we do.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ty, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Just got home from work.
Where do you work, though?
I work at Aldi.
What do you do?
A lot of things.
A lot of things.
Mostly stocking, janitoring, and cashiering.
Mm.
I do all of those things. Because at Aldi, you do a lot of things.
Yeah, because you can't do, like, the Walmart specialized thing.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyways, so what we're going to talk about today is going to be songwriting. And we're going to bring our friend Adam, who is another member of the band. Us three are the three that write, sing, and play for the band. And we were like the original three members. We have two other guys, Corbin and Bryce.
Both of them awesome men.
Both very awesome men.
Very
from
sensual men.
Anyways, they're from Grace Christian University, where I go to school. And hopefully they'll get us some rehearsal space after I graduate, because I'm not going to be able to get rehearsal space there.
Yeah.
Adam's doing things off the screen, but that's okay. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. We put quite a bit of work into getting our production quality up and ready so that we can give you guys some good content so that you guys can take away some things that you want to use in your own lives or your own music endeavors. So, yeah, without further ado, the main section of the podcast. That's some pretty complicated stuff to play.
You don't have respective hands?
Dude, I do.
Absolute trash.
Having a good time.
Like, just enjoying myself.
He was like so
Just so
supportive.
fun.
The song sucks.
Yep, that's true.
All right, welcome to the main episode. So we are going to spend about 8 minutes per question. We've got some questions here, and we actually got a Facebook group, the singer-songwriter Facebook group, to answer the first question, and it applies to a lot of the other ones, so we'll bring those in. But we'll quote some of the people's answers that they gave us, because they gave us some good insight. So the first question that we're going to ask regarding songwriting, and hopefully this will give us a good idea of what songwriting is and what we should be doing moving on, and hopefully it gives you guys some more ideas. What is the most important thing to consider while you're writing a song?
The words.
Craft.
Uh-oh.
Craft.
Those are two of the answers we got on Facebook. Craft.
Craft.
Yeah, man. Anyways, what do you guys think? Ty, how about you? What do you think is the most important thing when you're writing a song?
I don't know. I never have a structure when I start out songwriting. I always think I should have a structure, and then I never really write out a structure. But I think the most important is kind of knowing the feel of your song before you go into writing it. Like, if you start writing a song and you have no idea where you're going with the song, like in terms of the emotion behind it, you're kind of stuck in the middle with an emotionless song, and that just doesn't make a good song. Because I've written some songs out of, oh, that's a cool idea, but I don't put any emotion behind it, and it just turns out to be kind of bland.
So having like a personal connection with the meaning of the song?
Yeah, that definitely helps for
Yeah.
sure.
Cool. So what do you think, Adam? What's the most important thing for you?
Jeez. It's a big question.
Well, you got to answer it.
You gotta get a big answer, man.
My brain is farting. I think honesty. I think a lot of times in modern music these days, there's a lot of pop songs that are just, it just sounds like they all sound the same, not just the music structure, which that is the case a lot of the time too, but also the words and what they're talking about. I think there's got to be you got to be honest with it. Like, while you're writing, don't just jot down what sounds catchy or something. Kind of like what Ty was saying, being in touch with it.
Yeah. For sure. I think there was one Facebook comment that really touched on what you guys are saying. Um, craft.
Craft.
Just kidding. um, Matt, I'm gonna mess up this last name. Luscombe,
Looks like a loose comb.
Loosecombe. Anyways,
Matt
Matt,
Luce
he
is
says,
his comb.
remembering the feeling I felt with the events that happened that inspired me to write the song. So having that personal connection is super important, and I really agree with that. I think knowing, someone else also said, conceptualizing and determining the intention or message of the song before the lyrics are written, and that was Gordon uh, Bramhall who said that, and I think that is really where you kind of hit the nail on the head is getting that concept together, and then the song kind of writes itself after that. Because the concept can inform the words after that, and then it can inform the feel of the song. Some people like to say, I guess this brings us into our second question. Let's see. Should you write the words first or the music first? Do you write the words to the music or the music to the words? What are you guys' kind of approach, Ty?
I always flip flop. I never. I mean, the varying, in my opinion, the quality of the song never really varies, but depending, because it tends to be, if I know the feel for the lyrics, I'll usually be able to write something that kind of fills out that vibe for the lyrics. And if I write the music, then I can fill out the vibe with the lyrics. So it doesn't really change anything, in my opinion. I mean, some people might think that one's more important than the other. I think they're both very important. Some people care about lyrics more. Some people care about instrumentation more. Like, I care about lyrics a lot. But always when I take it to Eli, like, hey, this is a song idea, he's always like, well, what if we do this, this, or this? And I'm like, well, that sounds like a better idea. Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's the producer bone in me.
yeah.
I'm
So
like, this could be better. It's great, but it could be better.
right. And I mean, I always start with usually almost always start with an acoustic guitar and create just chord structure. Then I go from there. But I can always like write. I will say though, it's harder to come up with lyrics when you don't have that chord structure, because when you write, like I've written lyrics when I'm in class, and then I come back and I'm like, there's no rhythm to this. I can't do anything with this. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're both pretty important. Neither of them really comes first for me.
Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a personal thing. Like for me, what Ty's saying, usually I can hear the melody in my head as I'm writing the lyrics to the melody that I hear in my head. I don't necessarily have to have an instrument with me. It helps, but I don't necessarily have to have that. Some people need it, and that's just kind of a personal preference. And Adam, what do you like to do?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's basically the same thing as what he's saying. I mean, and like even in the sense that I'll sit there with my guitar or at my keyboard, just like fiddling with different melodies. And I mean, I think psychologically there's already something on my mind when I'm playing notes. Like I'm playing a certain way because of how I feel about like in the moment. So then the lyrics come to me. But then also, yeah, vice versa. I've had times where even though it is a lot harder, as Ty was saying, I've written like a poem or something that like just something lyrical and then come back to it later. Sometimes I've done it like a couple of years later and I go back on it. I'm like, well, this could probably be a song, even if I tweak a little bit, make it flow more.
More
which
rhythmic.
Eli always chimes in with the different flow of things. It's got a flow.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what a lot of people on Facebook were saying as well is once those lyrics and the song is written, you got to come back and polish it up. Like first I usually like to polish the words up and say, hey, this what you're saying here is good, but it could be worded differently to fit more with the music. So that's the first thing I try to do when I'm polishing up my songs. And then I take the music and I oh shoot, I forgot what I was saying.
You take the music.
I take the arrangement of the music and say, oh, maybe we can add another chorus at the end. Maybe we could just end on this note. And like it's taking all of the pieces of the song, like we've got verse 1 here, we've got verse 2 here. It's ordering that in the most interesting way possible. A lot of people put this off, and even I did this in my early days. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna write a basic song. It's gonna be a basic chord structure. We got verse
chorus,
1,
verse
yeah.
2, chorus.
Yeah, verse, bridge, pre-chorus. Yeah,
pre-chorus, chorus.
It's
end.
all like the basic the basic song structure. But sometimes you want to take a minute once you've got your song fleshed out to go the extra mile and see what it would sound like when you've got the verses and choruses and different parts in different sections and repeated at different times. So that's one thing that a lot of beginners tend to overlook, that I think a lot of people on Facebook got pretty well. So we were also, a lot of what we've been talking about is emotional writing, but there's also this other aspect is like when you've got a concept that you're not necessarily emotionally tied to. So that brings us into our third question. And it's like, what inspires you to write songs? And are songs of pure inspiration and emotion inherently better than the intentional songs with a specific goal?
That's a big question.
Yeah, it is. A big question.
Restate your question there.
Yeah. So
Can you use it in a sentence?
it's kind of a two-part question. The first one is, what inspires you to write songs? And the second part of that question is, are songs that are inspired by your emotions or your inherent life, are those better than songs that you say, I'm going to write about this because I feel like this would be a good concept to write about, and you're not necessarily emotionally tied to that?
Oh, that makes more sense.
Okay. Well, my inspiration to write songs was from other people writing songs around me initially, because when I started writing songs, I was like, I probably won't be that good at it, so whatever. But I wrote a song or two. They were really cheesy, and well, really, these two started writing, and I was like, I guess I could write songs. So I started writing songs, and as I said, my first two were really cheesy, and it got better over time. But I mean, the first two were emotionally driven, but I think they went overboard. They went like not necessarily to dark places, but to just to places that were extreme for the situation. I don't know. I think,
so you didn't necessarily want to publish those songs.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think there's a place for those kinds of things, and it just kind of helps you process your emotions better.
right. No, that's definitely therapeutic writing. Like writing that you get off your chest. Like there's songs that I'll write. I'll get the feelings off my chest, and I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna delete that now. But that's less. It was inspiration, and do they come out better? Yes, they do come out better. When I'm emotionally tied to a song, it tends to be, you hear it in my vocals, you hear it through how much attention I put into the song. I will say, building a conceptual song, maybe if you're not... I'm emotionally driven when it comes to songwriting at any point. I feel like if you're not always emotionally driven and you need to write a song or you just want to, that won't always come out bad. But for me, I feel like if I could try to write a conceptual song, it won't be as good as if I was to be emotionally connected to that song.
That's well said. Because I'm just gonna tie off what you said. Because I can write conceptual songs, and they can turn out just as good, if not better, than songs that I'm emotionally tied to. I don't know if we haven't released these on No Tomatoes, but Boxed Up Lives is one song that I've written that's on my personal Spotify. That was completely a conceptual song. I can't say that I wasn't emotionally tied to it at all, but it's not nearly as emotional as like, oh, my girlfriend broke up with me, right?
Right.
It's a song about injustice. It's a song about the crap that's happening in the world. And yeah, there is an element of emotion, but it doesn't necessarily for me. I don't have to be completely emotionally invested to write a song. I think sometimes I took a challenge at one point. Adam probably remembers this. You guys probably both remember.
The one song a day challenge.
One song a day challenge. You just write a song, even if it sucks. And most of them sucked.
Oh my goodness.
I gotta say. But honestly, that is the number one thing you can do to improve your songwriting is just do it.
Just right.
Just right. Adam, do you have anything to say? We kind of been...
No. You guys have pretty much crafted the right answers. I mean, I'm definitely mostly emotional driven with everything. But, I mean, some songs that I'm not going to name that are going to be on the album because no spoiler alert. Some of those songs actually, well, like one of them I know we wrote together. We just kind of sat there and we're joking like about this thing, and we just wrote it together. It was a planned thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there was much of an emotional connection to it.
No. Oh yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
That one, but also Sent But Not Delivered.
Yeah, Sent But Not Delivered.
Completely conceptual off of her first album.
If anything, it was Impulse.
On the inverse of that, I had an emotional connection to one of the songs that is going to be on the album, and Eli really didn't. And we wrote part of that song together. Like I had come up with the idea and I had written out some of it. And the parts that, I mean, some of what Eli and I wrote is in there, but some of it got cut out just because it didn't fit that well. I mean, it was mostly emotionally driven, and then part of it was conceptual, and the part that was conceptual kind of sucked. And we went, well, I guess we'll take that part out.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it represents the fine line between conceptual and inspirational.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I'm completely... not completely, but I'm very, very inspirational and emotional driven because I most of the time won't even finish a song if I'm feeling something and I start writing it. If I stop feeling it like in the moment, like it's just not that on my mind, I'll just cut it out.
Yeah.
They're junk songs basically.
Yeah. It's the difference between inspiration and dedication.
Right.
Inspiration, a lot of times if you're inspired to write a song, the song will just flow out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It'll be there and you'll be like, oh shoot, man, this is a great song. I'm gonna polish it up.
Mm-hmm.
The discipline of writing songs every day, a lot of times you get better at doing it, but it's a drag.
It turns
it
from
makes
a joy to work very quickly.
Yeah, but it makes you a better songwriter.
Sure. It makes you a better emotional songwriter too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where some of you're right, it does make you a better emotional songwriter too. And
because I did that, I didn't post anything, but I was like, all right, I'm gonna write a song every day for these next 2 weeks. I wrote a song probably every other day, but I got a few songs out and I was like, these aren't great.
About 10% of them were good.
Yeah, I mean maybe 1 or 2 of them were, but
what I want to talk about is next is the difference between writing with a business mindset and writing with an emotional mindset to change the world, basically. You have an intention that people are going to have a connection with these songs and feel that in their souls. So a couple of Facebook comments we got when we asked what the most important thing about writing songs is, we're very business minded, and they kind of said, you have 10 seconds to grab their attention, and a strong top line that causes people not to click off your song is really important. What do you guys think about those kinds of comments?
Like an attention grabbing type deal?
Yeah.
I think writing a catchy first line or maybe a catchy song in general is important. I think it's really important in terms of business modeling, if you're going to try to sell the song to people. But that's not always what we want to write.
Mm.
I mean, for me, plenty of songs I've written, I'm like, oh, this is a really, really good song. And then I'm like, it's not that catchy though. Like people might not, like if I write a song that's just straight poetry and it sounds like it was written in, the 1700s, it's like, well, it probably wouldn't fly right now. In terms of, I'm kind of losing myself here. What was the question again?
Just the kind of comments that need like
The comments that say you need
you need a catchy song for people to listen to it.
I mean, it doesn't irritate me necessarily, but it's kind of like, well, maybe some people, like if you write something, someone's going to enjoy it. It doesn't matter where they are, like at least some person in Lithuania might enjoy my song. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, look at Ice JJ Fish. People still listen to him.
right? Like if you can write a terrible song and someone will enjoy it, or you could write a great song that not many people enjoy, but it still means something to you. Like for instance, we actually released the Snow White single. I personally didn't think it was catchy. I thought it was a good song. I don't think it's necessarily the most catchy song I've ever written, though. But I mean, that song is near and dear to me.
Yeah. But people like that song.
Sure, and I mean, a lot of people like that song. I was even given a compliment from one of my friend's parents. But I mean, it's not necessarily going to be the hit single of 2020. But,
right. So it's kind of like the intention of what you want your music to be.
Right. Do you want to reach a whole bunch of people, or do you want to just enjoy what you write and maybe other people will enjoy it too?
I think Adam has some comments on this one.
I do. Yeah, I was thinking the same way. I see when what I gamble with in my head, like, and this is for writing anything from like a depressing ballad to a more punky song is
You were talking about before we started the podcast about how what was it? It was a classic song.
oh yeah,
The Beatles.
The Beatles, a day in the life. That was an example of a song back then that was I mean, the intro is not the longest, but it does pick up slow. And then there's like a 5-minute thing in the middle of it where they literally just threw orchestra together that just played absolute trash, but it was to represent like chaos because it's supposed to represent like the craziness in life. But
I mean, I would be careful calling it trash.
well,
That's some pretty complicated stuff to play.
Absolute
I love the Beatles, but I'll still get Beatles fanboys breathing down my throat. But I think like even there's times like whether I'm writing a depressing ballad or a punk rock song or something, I battle with myself like debating whether or not I should like try to write something that's catchy or that grabs people's attention. But then my mindset will change to where I just hope I hope that when people listen to this, they get a connection to it, and that's what I rely on. I try to make myself rely on them actually having a connection to it, because that's the point of it. The point of songwriting to me like that is something personal to myself that other people can find personal to themselves for whatever reason.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I think I was saying earlier, like when you write a song purely to sell a song, you've kind of completely missed the whole point of writing a song.
Yep. That's true.
And I mean, yeah, you'll make money, but like, why would you only want to make money writing a song? You can make money doing anything. So I don't know. I think having that emotional connection or having that meaning behind the song is super, super important. Because people are going to recognize that authenticity. And if they truly value your music and your art, That's way more important and way more valuable to me than any amount of money, really. So yeah, cool. That's a good way to answer those questions. The next one we're gonna move on to says, "What does songwriting mean to you personally?" We kind of hit this question a little bit, but is it different than your relationship to music in general?
Oh,
Either of you guys can chime
Um,
in if you got an
I'll-
answer.
I'll just start. To me personally, I I think for actual music, the music part, like I'll sit back and I'll listen to some of our stuff that we record, whether it's our band stuff or our solo stuff, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the message, but songwriting itself, when I've used, it's like a support for my mind, like it's an emotional support for my mental stability, basically, and in the moment. I think there's the two moments where you feel the songwriting process the most is when you're obviously writing it, but also when you're recording it, because you have to put that same emotion you felt while writing that song into the recording.
Yeah.
And
If you don't do that, then the song sucks.
it
Yes.
just
It loses most of its weight.
I remember Ty actually, he said I think it was the live advertisement basically for when Snow White came out, is he said he recorded the vocal track like tons of times, and they ended up going back to one of the first ones because that's when he had the most emotion in it. And,
I think for me, when I personally play music, it's a little different from when I write music. When I'm playing music, it's almost always just noodling and messing around.
Yeah. Having a good time.
Right, just enjoying myself. When I'm writing music, I'm always like, all right, I gotta come up with the next thing. What's the next thing that's gonna happen? You know, I'm always more driven to do something when I'm writing music. Come up with, oh, this would be a really cool guitar lick in this point, or this would be a really good lyric to throw in at this point. And when I'm just playing, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cover this song and be a goof about it. You know, it's the feeling is a little different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're different disciplines. Performing music, I think, is more. It's both more technical on the other side of it. Like, you've got to know what chords you're playing. You got to know the structure of the song. You got to know all the technical parts, and you've got to also engage your audience. So you can't really be thinking about the emotion of the song as much. You already have to have that internalized.
Right.
When you're writing a song, you can process through your emotions as you're writing that song. And when you're recording that song even, you can process through what sounds good. But when you're performing, unless you're doing improv, I mean, sometimes you can do improv and it can be pretty cool, especially if you're super talented at your instrument.
Right.
But and sometimes we throw in a little bit of improv, but not a ton for our genre. But anyways, yeah, performing and writing are pretty different, but both very important for, I think, our mental health.
True.
I think songwriting is more important for our mental health, but performing also has that kind of it gets you back into society.
Well,
you're not just like a hermit writing stuff.
Speaking of that, I mean, since COVID, I mean, it was hugely different. Like, we didn't do a whole lot of shows, but just the shows that we did do, I had this dopamine boost through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so fun, such a good time because, I mean, we didn't have many people coming to see us, but just the people that was in the room, I wanted to do my best just because people were enjoying the music that I was putting out. It puts you in a different mind space. Like, it puts you in I want to show people the best I can do because they're coming to see my craft. They're coming to see what I'm good at, essentially.
Craft.
I'll never forget the drunk guy in the Nirvana shirt at the Hot Rock bar. It was a Hot Rock bar.
It was the Hot Rock bar in
yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah.
I'll never forget him. But yeah, it's definitely a dopamine boost.
What about him?
He was like so supportive. Like he was yelling, he was like
Oh.
cheering for us. But no,
Nice.
I for performing, I think going along with that, I think it's almost a closure for me. Like there was writing the song, there was recording the song, but then performing the song. It's like it's out there, like not just in a format where you can look it up on Spotify or SoundCloud, but you can just it's there. People are listening to you say it, which is I kind of veered off into a different direction, but anyways.
But yeah, for sure. It's cool to have those different aspects of your art be available to people. I think a lot of people like the live aspect because it's more of a fun thing and it's more authentically you. I mean, when you record things, you can polish it up as much as you want, but when you're recording live or when you're playing live, people can see just how good or bad you are.
Or how much the song is genuine.
Or and yeah, and that too, and how much emotion you have behind it. So yeah. So the next question we have, we're doing pretty good on time, but the next question we have is, should you stick to a specific genre?
No.
No. Done.
And here's why I say it. Personally, I think if you write one genre for your band's lifetime or for your solo lifetime, it might get you more people coming because people enjoy listening to that genre more than they would like. Some people will enjoy a classic rock vibe as opposed to a jazz vibe. But as a musician or an lyricist,
Yeah. Singer-songwriter.
Singer-songwriter, you kind of cut yourself off of growing.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I was to write pop punk my whole life, I could get a certain chord progression and a certain way I write the song and say, oh, this is all I'm going to do. It works. And then you go nowhere ever. You
Right.
know,
you could be popular.
Right. And
You
I mean,
could be famous.
you could be Green Day.
Playing punk.
You could be Green Day. Only write pop punk ever.
Well, I mean,
play pop punk at 70 years
and
old.
my point being is like you're just never being everything you could be.
Right.
If you write.
I think you're kind of, yeah. I think you're right in that it helps you grow a lot. There is that, again, that, pros and cons of music business or music itself.
Right.
And I think us in our genre in general, but us as people tend to gravitate more towards the music is way more important than the business behind the music.
It tends to be a lot more that way if your livelihood also isn't on the line.
Yes, that's
Like,
true.
For me, I'm probably not going to go into music. So whether
professionally as your only
Right.
career.
whether the band is super popular and making money or not is not super important to me. I mean, it makes me happy to think, oh, all these people are going to listen. But it also makes me more happy to say, this is the song I want you to hear.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I've worked on for a month of my life. Please listen.
Yeah, or a year or however long
Right, however long it takes
it
to write.
takes.
I definitely do not think we should be tied to one genre, and that's just me. I mean, I can bring up the Beatles again, how they kind of veered and created a lot of subgenres in their career, but even like Ed Sheeran, he does a lot of different things, but it's because to me, listening to those artists, I kind of developed genre reflects what I want to convey in the message at the moment. If I'm angry, I'm probably going to write a punk rock song. If I'm sad, I'm probably going to write a sad either pop rock or alternative, whatever you want to call it, ballad, something like that. But I don't like Ty was saying, there's just no room to grow if if you're just tied to this one thing, playing punk rock when you're 70 years old, you barely
The
hold
Green
your
Day-
guitar, you
The
got
Green
arthritis
Day
in your
mentality
finger.
is what we're gonna call it.
Which I like Green Day, don't get me wrong, but goodness gracious.
Yeah,
They're
I
good.
think the best bands tend to morph over time.
They experiment.
Some of my favorite bands, Cage the Elephant. Cage the Elephant started out with their first album, Cage the Elephant, and they were just going ham. They were
alternative rock all the way.
going
Brandon.
ham, and then now they're like chill, but also like weird.
Yeah,
But like,
it's true. They're good.
there's
though.
a progression, and you can see that you progress in your mental state, you progress in your life. You know, I was in middle school writing songs about cereal. I was in high school writing songs about my
Cereal.
girlfriend.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
cereal.
All right.
I was in high school writing songs about my girlfriend. I was in continued to write songs about my girlfriend. But
And we're still writing songs about our girlfriends.
yeah, but
And I'm writing songs about
you know,
my ex.
throughout
yeah, you'll never.
throughout all of that, you start to get other themes, and you start to care about certain things more. Money becomes more important after you get out of high school.
True.
So, yeah, I think your sound should develop with you as you develop. And I think that is much more important than sticking to a genre just to sell more.
And not to be a poser.
Yeah.
Poser.
We're not calling Green Day posers.
We
Mostly.
totally are killing Green Day.
I
posers.
love Green Day. Don't
We're
knock on them.
mostly not calling Green Day posers.
Oh.
They've written the most pop punk songs in history of ever.
Well,
Using
they're-
4 chords nonetheless.
some of them are 3.
It
Some
does-
of them.
Okay, we're gonna stop talking about Green Day now.
Oh, okay.
This is not what this is about.
Sorry, Green Day.
I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's an education artistry thing versus a business selling stuff things, but it doesn't necessarily mean if you change genres that you won't be successful, because look at Taylor Swift. Look at Taylor Swift. She changed genres. She's the most popular pop artist today, I think. Female pop artist.
Not to be sexist, but
Yeah, and yeah. So
Ariana
changing
Grande.
genres does not mean bad business. It doesn't mean good business, but it doesn't mean bad business. And I think it is much better to focus on being authentic through and experimenting with other genres, whether or not that affects the business. So,
Yeah.
irrelevant.
Anyway,
So, yeah, cool. We're under time a little bit.
was that all the questions?
No.
Oh.
We have one more question, and that question is, what encouragement can we give to people who are getting into writing music, and even people who have been writing music, who are out there listening to this and just want a little bit more perspective or see what we're about? What encouragement or advice can we give to those people?
Find other people that write music. It's important. For me, I would have never gotten into songwriting at all if it weren't for people around me writing music. But if you're not already in a band, maybe find some people that play music that you can come to and be like, hey, I had this song idea. Do you want to talk about it? Or something like that. It was important to me to have other people that knew music and knew how to make my music better, to 1, improve, and 2, feel like I was improving. Because like if you have nothing to base your songwriting on, then you're gonna. You might not stay stagnant, but you're gonna feel like you're staying stagnant. You're not gonna feel like you're growing. In terms of, encouragement, I'd say keep going. It will get better. It was just like out of high school. It will get better. Anyway, no, but it's just as you progress, you'll notice you're progressing. Even with the most popular artists out there, Shawn Mendes, Ed Sheeran, all those people, if I go back to Ed Sheeran's first album, I can say, oh, he's grown a whole lot from the Plus album to the Divide album, because he's talking about more mature topics, or he's using different definitions or something like that. Or Shawn Mendes, from his first album. They were 3 chords, all acoustic guitar, no harmony. Then you go to his newest album, which is just his name, Shawn Mendes, and that song actually has flavor to it. He does like almost jazzy songs, almost songs that make interesting points. And I feel like anyone can get better at any point. It doesn't matter if you're a new songwriter or a songwriter that's been writing songs for 30 years. You can always make something better about your songwriting.
Yeah. My biggest encouragement is to not compare yourself. I made the mistake when I first started writing, like whether it was people I knew around me or artists. I'm like, how on earth could I write a song that good? They're just too good. But then I think about the fact that before Ed Sheeran was Ed Sheeran, nobody wanted to be Ed Sheeran. So the best encouragement is to not compare yourself and to just focus on the other things that we talked about, how you just focused on the craft. But writing itself, and just, I know it sounds like really cheesy and generic, but like being you and writing what you want to write, because who knows, maybe you might become the next top selling artist of all time. Move over Ariana Grande, move over Taylor Swift, move over Ed Sheeran. I'm just kidding, I love Ed Sheeran.
I want to take a minute before I say my biggest encouragement to thank Michael S. Taruya, I think that's how you say your name, for giving us craft.
Craft.
That is
The craft.
The craft.
We're just going to keep saying that for the rest of our lives, just because you went into my Facebook question and answered us with
Michael?
one word and a period.
The
Anyways, guys,
craft of your comment was superb.
what I want to say to you all listening is to keep doing it. Keep writing songs. If you suck, it does not mean you cannot be great, right? Your songs are going to keep improving, even if they don't sound good right now. Everyone has something to say. If you find a way to write what you have to say so that it's relatable to other people, then someone is gonna like it. Like he was saying earlier, someone is always gonna like what you have, what you post, what you have out there for other people. But you can't be shy. You can't be shy to let other people know what you're doing, right? If no one knows, like Adam was saying,
if no one knows you're a prostitute, they are not going to ask to buy sex.
Yes, and his phony Russian accent, and kind of also hungover from his birthday party on his 21st birthday. He says this,
Sorry,
and I'm
Mom.
like, Adam, this is the most profound statement I've ever heard.
I need alcohol to be intelligent.
Oh, man.
That's something to take away
Classic.
from your 21st birthday.
Classic Irishman. Come on.
Oh, man. So we're going to end on a recommendation and then a quote. So Ty has our recommendation for the week. What do you recommend for us, Ty?
If you guys enjoy comedy podcasts, the Mac Elroy brothers do a pretty good one. It's called My Brother, and Me. Just a fun little advice podcast. That's not really giving advice, but it's fun. It's a good one.
Cool. Yeah, good entertainment value, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I want to end with is a quote from a psychology book that I read in a conducting book. So it's kind of like Inception. I'm quoting a quote, and I'm paraphrasing it because it's a very complicated quote, and I wanted to make it a little bit simpler so that it didn't roll off my tongue the wrong way. But it goes like this. We do not just make up words or learn them in school or ever fully have them under control. Words, like angels, are powers which have invisible influence over us. They are presences which have whole mythologies, genders, histories, and vogues. Words are persons. They transcend their basic definitions. Without inherent soul in words, speech would not move us. Words would not provide forms for carrying our lives, and there would be no sense to our deaths. And that's from James Hillman in Revisioning Psychology. Words are important, guys. So that's why we write songs.
Ooh.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been the No Tomatoes podcast. I hope you have a great week.